Hello everyone, I am Angelina Mojica, Certified Family Life Educator and the host of Good Morning Minutes on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Danica Shea, licensed master social worker and the owner of Danica Shea Counseling and Consulting.
We want to welcome you back to our channel. Much love, much peace, many blessings. As we continue our conversation on Let's Talk Life, we want to dive a little further and talk about life beliefs. So when we talk about life beliefs, what's the first thing that comes to mind, Shay?
Beliefs, I think it's kind of like, to me, I just think of like a starting point kind of for your perspective on
Yeah.
how you view life.
I would agree with that. I know that our beliefs also kind of correlate with our personal growth. So how
Yes.
can beliefs possibly aid us or help us or hinder us, I should say,
Yes.
in our growth potential?
Well, you're right, because our beliefs, how are they formed? They're formed, in childhood with our environment and who's raising us and what it's told to us about religion, what it's told us about race and culture and relationships. So it's kind of, it can hinder us, obviously, if they're erroneous beliefs, if they're illogical, if they're thinking errors, sorry. Also, they can hinder us, I think, if they're kind of just really narrow beliefs.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, because our beliefs do stem from our personal experiences and what we hold to be true. So because our experiences, our life experiences, whatever that is that we have gone through childhood and even our early adulthood into, our middle age, experiences, all of that leads up to what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about the world, and it is a facet of our personal life, our work life, and even our relationships.
Yes, definitely. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's okay. So since it's what we experience, so we tend to think our beliefs are founded on reality. But is that even really a true statement?
That's true. It's a tricky one, right?
Right.
It's kind of like a slippery slope. Because you're right, because it's not really, it's the perspective that we're taking. We could literally look at the same thing and you see one thing and I see another thing based on our life experiences, just because that's how we're interpreting the world. So that is a very valid point. Like, is that really true? Is that reality?
Right. Is that reality? And because our belief system, it also encompassed like our morals and our values in that, and we tend to identify with what we believe.
Yes, we do, because our beliefs is what it's, to me, it kind of like it runs deep, and my belief is what I actually put into action in my life, because I emotionalize with it, therefore it moves into action and it shows the results. But I have to believe it.
Yeah.
And otherwise it's kind of irrelevant, right? So then, because I believe it, I emotionalize with it, and then it manifests in my life with however way.
Right. And that can be, that can be a number of things. It can be your culture, it can be a religious beliefs, it just anything that we kind of pick up in life, and it just a reflection of who we are. So very much of what you said, and usually beliefs are kind of classified in two categories. You have your rational beliefs and your irrational beliefs. And so like a rational belief would be, it is cold in the winter and it's hot in the summer. Now, we don't know this to be validated, but the reason we believe that is because that's what we've experienced.
Right. Right.
But our irrational beliefs are things like, my friends are better than me, or, this relationship's going to fall apart anyway, so why even bother jumping into it? So how does one look at those limiting beliefs and overcome them?
Well, I think we have to, again, go back to our thought life, like what am I telling myself? And really, we need to change it with different affirmations. We need to auto-suggest different things, and that's how we combat it, is with the opposite, right?
Absolutely.
But also, too, when we reach out to other people, they can help us see how that's an irrational belief, how that's not, based off of actual facts or truth. It's just really a matter of perspective or opinion, maybe.
Absolutely. I hear you, and I think too, because we want to believe it, basically. We want to make it valid. So what we're going to do is we're going to find evidence to validate whatever statement we're telling ourselves, whatever we're believing ourselves. We're going to find that evidence. So like I said, all my friends are better than me. So social media really can validate and give you the evidence in believing that, because you can scroll through your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever it is that whatever platform you use, and you can see pictures of what people want you to see, and then you can come back and say, you know what, I'm right in believing that I'm no good, because look at all these happy faces on social media. And so we look at that and we build it up as evidence as to why we believe the way we believe. Now, and it limits our growth potential. It limits our ability to even move past to wanting more for ourselves or even hitting our goals. So how would you suggest overcoming something like that?
Well, when you were saying that, it kind of struck a chord. I was like, yeah, that's so true, because it takes me back to the quote of Henry Ford of, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right. And what that means is basically like what you were saying. If I'm believing something, I am going to actually look for the evidence to support that. So it's almost like a snowball effect, right? Like it just kind of grows and grows and just gets out of control. In a negative state or a positive state, it can just grow and grow and grow. So that's, the way you combat it, I think, was just, okay, we need to stop and say, okay, what is this belief? Where does this coming from? Do I really believe this? Is this serving me to believe this? And really digging deep that belief and asking you those questions to think more about it. And then if it's not serving you, then, this isn't taking me where I want to go. So then we face it head on, like fighting it with the opposite thoughts and affirmations. Let's say if social media, we can recognize that that's kind of a rabbit hole for us to,
absolutely
curb that time on social media or whatever.
Right. Absolutely. I would agree. And also when you talk about limiting beliefs too, sometimes they've been so patterned in our life that we're like, well, this is the way it is. We tell ourselves, there's not a possibility of change because we've always done it this way. And a story that I read many years ago was a story of a great grandmother who they were preparing fish, and she would cut the head and the tail off of the fish before putting it in the oven. And so grandmother did that, and then mother did that, and so then daughter did that. And as the daughter was preparing the fish meal, her youngest daughter was like, hey mom, why are we cutting off the head and the tail? And mom is like, I don't know. Let me go back down the generation line and find out. So when the information was found out, it came to be that great grandmother cut the head and the tail off of fish because the pan to fit the pan, because her pan was too small. But that's so much like our belief that we can carry. I mean, it can be generational.
It is so true. I just got chills.
Yeah,
I got chills because that is so true. That's so true. That's why I say, a lot of times we're just operating off autopilot, like most of us, most of the time.
Right.
And we don't even know why we're doing what we're doing. Why do I even believe it? Like, because everybody else did? Because everybody,
Right. And it becomes so ingrained in our DNA. It's like you said, it's just autopilot. But there's also the ideas and the beliefs of, I'm just not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. Having to work means I have to work hard for my money as opposed to somebody else. You're not deserving of success. And those beliefs are a little more rooted and can be a little harder to break. But there are some ways you can do that. And the first way to do that is by stop identifying yourself with those limiting beliefs.
Right, because that's just a belief. That's not who you are.
Right.
And actually what we need to do is evaluate our lives continuously and evaluate our beliefs continuously and ask why. And if my beliefs changing, what does that mean? That's not my identity.
Absolutely. And then you want to also kill your conclusions, because whatever you think you believe to be certain is probably a lot more flexible than you imagine.
Yes.
And our beliefs can be negotiable. It's just because we believe it doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
And then just you also want to kill all your false conclusions. Don't just jump to an assumption, right?
Yes, jumping to conclusions, making assumptions is a big no-no. I talk to my clients about that all the time, actually.
Right. Don't assume something is what it is without investigating, without challenging it. And that's going to be test your assumptions. That's step 3 right there for you. Test your assumptions. And in order to do that, you're going to take action steps to really investigate those conclusions, because you don't want to allow yourself in your own head to be that limiting. Now, I'm not going to ask because this is what I saw. You need to push forward, and you need to ask, because that's the only way you're going to break those beliefs and limiting yourself in life.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with just a thought. The beliefs that got you here today may not be the beliefs that are going to get you to where you want to be in the future.
Exactly.
And then your beliefs and value system must change with time. They must also change as your goals change.
Exactly, because we're evolving. If I'm evolving and growing, therefore my beliefs have to
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you like what you heard, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe. I'm Angelina.
I'm Dana Gachet.
Much love, much peace, many blessings.